Brand new for the 2024 Braves Country Radio broadcast season. Along with pitch-by-pitch, play-by-play, the classic call of Braves Country Baseball, we will bring you a live pregame show and postgame show. The phone lines wide open for you to call, react, or ask your questions along with the chat. That's Braves Country today pregame, Braves Country tonight postgame. We'll see you in 2024. Hey, Braves Country, this is Mac McKee with Braves Country Radio. We are bringing you pitch by pitch, play by play of your Atlanta Braves all year long. Please like and subscribe today. It's free, and it helps us bring you more of the game we all love. Braves Country Radio, your home for the classic call of Braves Country Baseball.
Here's good news. There's still a need for hundreds of thousands of cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. right now. And My Computer Career is training people to help meet the demand. No IT experience? No problem. Take the free career evaluation today. Start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
Braves Country today. We're talking Southern sports. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE. Braves Country today, Southern sports talk with the voice of Braves Country baseball, Mac McGee. Joined every day from sports analysts from all over Braves Country, talking college football, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and what's trending in the world of sports. Braves Country today. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Braves Country. Howdy, hi, and how the hell are you? Well, watching us on Braves Country Radio on YouTube, if you're listening along on the podcast, Braves Country Radio, or you're listening on radio stations like WQEE, Noonan, Georgia, welcome in as we are back doing Braves Country Radio. Took a little bit of time off. Basically, there was nothing to do, and we're doing Thursdays in January, and then we will ramp it back up in late February, going into March, going into spring training we are going to be doing Mondays and Thursdays at 4 o'clock. But right now we're just doing Thursdays. So on the PSF app, we'll be on Thursdays, and we'll be adding Mondays in the beginning of spring training, which not that far away. We're about 6 weeks away, give or take, when the pitchers and catchers report. The actual games themselves, Braves' first game is going to be on February 24th, and they have not announced a time yet, but it will be against the Tampa Bay Rays. We're expecting the times to be released in the next couple of weeks, and then at that point, we'll give you our broadcast schedule. We're going to be giving you as many games as we can this year. Monday through Saturday, lock us in. Braves Country Radio, we're going to give you pitch-by-pitch, play-by-play. And then on Sundays, we're just going to have to see how it goes. We're going to have to see what the schedule's like and see how many we can squeeze in. But we're going to do more than expected. The plan right now is, along with the postseason and along with the spring training, of course, regular season, plan right now is to give you well over 165, 170 games this year. So hopefully the Braves will have a deep run. It'll be to the high end as opposed to the low end. A couple of things to get you updated on if you missed it. Chris Sale. Chris Sale has, not only was he traded, but he has now signed an extension. And I'll go ahead and read you the press release. The Atlanta Braves today signed Chris Sale to a 2-year, $38 million contract with a club option for 2026 for $18 million. Now, this is enormous, and I'll tell you why. We'll get to that in 1 second. The left-hander will make $16 million this year. He will make $22 million in 2025. Now, there was originally a club option for 25. We'll get in that in a second. And he's agreed to donate 1% of his salary to the Atlanta Braves Foundation. Of course, all those are tax write-offs, and that's why you always get that information along with that. Sale, 34 years old, was acquired by the Atlanta Braves via trade with Boston on Saturday. He started 20 games for the Red Sox last season, compiled a 6-5 record with a 4.3 ERA, 125 strikeouts in 102 innings. In his 6th total season with Boston, 46 wins, 30 losses, 3.27 ERA. He earned a pair of All-Star honors in 2017 and 2018. Was a member of the 2018 World Series champion. And look, if you really look back at it, he is why the Boston Red Sox won the World Series in 2018. The left-hander fanned 11.0 batters per 9 innings last season. His career rate is 11.1, so right on track. And his 2,189 career strikeouts ranked 5th among active pitchers. Originally drafted by the White Sox, which most people remember. He is a Florida native, and let's see if there's any other interesting stuff here, other than the fact that he has 7 career top 10 finishes in Cy Young voting. He pitched 7 seasons for the White Sox before being traded to Boston. So there you have that. Okay. So a couple of things to note. Number one, $17 million was being pushed to the Atlanta Braves this season for Chris Sale's contract. So if you think about that, it means he is there for free at this point. Now there's the $1 million left over, and that part has not been explained. I don't know if that gets rolled over into next season or basically the Red Sox are off the hook for $1 million. Either way, the Braves won't be paying a dime of the Chris Sale contract. Now, he was originally supposed to be on a club option next year for $20 million. So now it'll be $22 million for next year. But when you look at the fact the Braves are going to save $10 million this year, it's a win, obviously, right? And then, now granted, he'll be 36 years old at that point, but then he'll be on for a extension, a club option for $18 million the following year. Now, the one thing they don't have written out here is whether or not there is a buyout. There normally is. But regardless, we're focused on the next 2 years. He will be an Atlanta Brave. And when we first made this trade, a lot of us were kind of under the impression it was going to be a prove it type deal, which I would have been totally fine with. The Braves were only going to have to pay $10 million. It was going to be a prove it type deal. And that prove it type deal would have allowed the Braves to decide whether or not they want to pick up the option next year. But instead, the Braves are committed now for 2 years and possibly 3. I think something else is signed. This marks the end of, and I know a lot of Braves fans don't want to hear this right now. If you got any questions or comments, please fire them along into the chat. And please hit that like button. I think it sends you a definite it's over with Max Fried. Because for them to go ahead and already pick up Chris Sale for next year, it's not saying they couldn't extend Max Fried, but what it's definitely saying is they're going to be moving on from Max Fried. Now, I believe that Max Fried will be here for the rest of the year. The Braves will put a qualifying offer on him, and he's going to sign for big bucks. A lot of folks believe he's going to head to the Dodgers. A lot of folks believe that he's going to head somewhere out west. The Giants are probably going to back up the truck. There's going to be several teams. But when you look at the fact that by next year, a frontline starting pitcher, and realize Max Fried's going to be up there in the up in the top echelon of possible being a Cy Young winner, if not top 5 finalists. And when you add that to the entire thing, I think what you're going to be looking at going forward is Max Fried is probably going to command somewhere around $32 to $35 million a year. If you just look at the way it's incrementally going up, that's just not the Braves' MO. So the only way this Max Fried deal gets done is if we somehow talk him into an extension basically today. Because I believe that once he hits spring training, he's just going to say, you know what? I've paid my dues. I think he's probably already at that. But I paid my dues. I want to get every dollar I can. I've got 6 months. I have a possibility to go out there on a very good team, make a run, possibly Cy Young, show that my durability is still there, because he's coming off. I mean, look, he's going into a year where he feels like he's got to prove it. So from that angle, we're in a good position, because you've got Chris Sale, who definitely wants to get back to his former self. You've got Charlie Morton, who this could be his last ride, so he's going to give it his all. You've got Max Fried, who's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, so we should get his best stuff. I think he's more likely to pitch through some stuff that he may not have pitched through the last couple of years, because you don't want to appear fragile going in to what is going to be his. I mean, this is his contract. If you're a Max Fried, if you're anybody going into age 31 and you're going to be getting a 5 or 6 year deal from someone, this is it. This is where you're going to make all your bucks. So he's going to push through stuff And I'm sure he's coming into this year. He'll be in as greatest shape as he possibly could be, because you notice this from all players, and whether you like it or love it, the players always take very good care of themselves going into a free agent year. That's why they normally have big numbers, because they realize, hey, this is a business. And if I go out there, like, what if Max Fried goes out there and goes 10-12 with a high 4 ERA, or he goes out there and he only pitches 75 innings because he's hurt once again? It's going to make him very and then he's going to go into the free agent market more likely with the, well, I'm going to have to prove it kind of deal. And some of these type deals usually end up being where you have opt-outs from either side. That's not what Max Fried's looking for. So when you look at what the Braves rotation is going to be this year, it's going to be nasty. You're going to have Max Fried at the top, Spencer Strider. You can flip it either way you want. It does not matter. Chris Sale or Charlie Morton. I'd say they're probably going to go Charlie Morton and then Chris Sale, just because you want less starts with Sale. More on that in 1 second. And then the number 5 spot, they have openly said that we're going to go into the spring. It's one of the reasons we're going to bring every spring training game that we can possibly to you. They are going to go into the spring with an open tryout, essentially. Bryce Elder is the leader in the clubhouse, but you're going to have Ronaldo Lopez and the SSAJ, as we love to call him here on Braves Country Radio, AJ Smith-Shawver, all three-headed monster going into, and whoever gets it, and I think it'll probably be Elder, the other two will probably make starts throughout the year. First of all, you know as well as I do, there's no way in hell that we're going to go through a 162-game season and all 5 starters not have to miss one day. There's no way that happens. So that's number 1. Number 2, I don't hate the idea of a 6-man rotation. I really don't. I've been saying that for a few years. I think it would be great, because you see these guys and they come around on that start after a 5-day break, a 6-day break if there's an off day, and they're usually fresh, they're popping. And when you've got guys, and think about this, you got a guy who is heading to free agency, he's not going to hate the idea of it. You've got 2 older arms in Sale and Morton who are going to love the idea of an extra day off. And then you're also going to have the opportunity. So let's say you put Elder at number 5. I would love the idea of a Smith-Shawver taking it at number 6. And then you still got Lopez, if there's an injury, or to come out and spell multiple innings. Because I don't believe it's going to be a situation where you're going to get these guys. I mean, does anyone out there believe that even one guy on our roster is going to throw 200 innings this year? I don't see it. Not in today's game. Not in today's game. So you love that idea, and I would not put it past them. Now, here's the thing, because of the way the rosters are constructed, if you have a 6-man rotation, that means that your bullpen's a little lighter. And if you have a lighter bullpen, so you can still only hold 13. That doesn't change. So if you have a 6-man rotation, you only have 7 guys in the bullpen. And that doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is over a 162-game season. Now, when you have multiple guys that can go out there and give you more than one inning, guys like a Ronaldo Lopez, we'll see who else that they may or may not add. But if you have that ability, then you could go to a six-man rotation. The one pushback that I've always heard Anthopoulos, you've never really heard Snicker speak to it much, but Anthopoulos has always talked about the fact that going to a six-man rotation has its advantages, but his biggest concern has always been, and it's a fair concern, how much are you stretching that bullpen? Because the last thing you want to do is run out of gas with your bullpen. Doesn't do you any good to get to October. The starters are fresh. You're like, let's go, and your bullpen's in shambles. So it's a two-headed monster with that. But there's a lot of things that we're going to find out in the spring. I'd say they're probably going to have a conventional rotation. Start off with that. And if we were handicapping it right now, my guess would be you're going to have Elder as the number 5 guy. Before anyone rolls their eyes or anything about Elder, remember something. Last year was Bryce Elder's first year of going through the gauntlet of a 6-month season. He'd never done it before. So he started off really, really hot. He had one of the lower ERAs in all of Major League Baseball in the first half of the season, just before the first half. We'll say late June. He fell apart in July, August, September. We know that. But a couple of things that he's probably getting ready for right now as we speak. A, his conditioning program. And it's not just the wear and tear on the arm. It's the mental of getting up and going to the post. And that's one thing you say about Elder, because we had our rotation was falling apart at the seams for about 3 months. And guys like Elder, and even though Charlie Morton got injured just before the playoffs, guys like Charlie Morton, Spencer Strider, they held it together. I mean, if you can remember some of these situations where we went into ball games and we didn't know who the hell the starter was the night before. They would announce it literally 12 hours before the game. Bryce Elder goes out there and gives you 150 plus innings this year. As long as it's not just atrocious walk after walk after walk, which is what he's going to have to clean up. But I still think a lot of that had to do with him hitting a wall. I said it last year at the time. I felt like that they should have probably sat back and give him extra days off. But they didn't have the luxury of doing that because of all the injuries. So if you go into how I would think the rotation is going to play out, is you're going to have probably Spencer Strider at the 1 spot, probably Max Fried at the 2 spot. And the reason why I say that is opening day normally goes to the guy who had the best year the year before. Because of injuries, it was Spencer Strider. So you go Strider, Fried, righty lefty, back to Morton as a righty, and then Chris Sale is the lefty. And then assuming it's Elder at the number 5 spot, you would have Ronaldo Lopez in the bullpen. And assuming we don't go to a 6-man rotation, that we keep it at 5, you then send Shawver back down to the minors, where he will go down there and pitch once a week because that's what they do. And that's another reason why I've always had that argument that if they're pitching once a week down at Gwinnett, if they're pitching once a week down at Rome, how the hell do you expect them to make that adjustment early on in their career of pitching on 4 days rest? It takes a toll. So, but let's just assume they do that. You're going to have Shawver go down there and pitch on certain days. Let's not forget about Waldrop. It'd be interesting to see how they decide to develop him. But you're going to have Waldrop down there developing as well. I still don't think we see him till 2025. He had a lot of issues with the walk, but he just came out of the University of Florida. I mean, the kid had been pitching since January. I remember seeing these ridiculous tweets and whatnot where people were pounding the table saying that they firmly believed that Waldrop was going to be a part of the rotation or bullpen come October. You can't expect a kid that young to start pitching in January, play his entire college baseball season, get drafted, jump into the minors, and oh, by the way, be on the biggest stage on the planet come October. It just doesn't work out that way. But when you look at the Braves bullpen and you look at some of the options out there, this is probably where the team is, but I'll say one thing. Keep this in mind. Because of what they just did with Chris Sale, saving all that money. Because remember, 17 is coming back to $17 million is coming back to the Atlanta Braves this year, and he's scheduled to make 16 this season. 22 in 2025, if you're just joining us. With all that money they just freed up, there's an outside chance that there's another move coming. I'm not going to say that I definitely believe there is, but it would not shock me at all because you just cleared a lot of money off the table to possibly add. I mean, there's still guys out there. You could be just adding a small bat and then saving that money, as Anthopoulos likes to talk about, saving money to be able to maneuver and pivot come the trade deadline. If something becomes available, you want to be able to go out there and grab it, right? But if you're looking at guys that are still available out there that are realistic, because look, Cody Bellinger still hasn't signed. Matt Chapman still hasn't signed, but they're not coming to the Braves. Blake Snell is still out there. He's not coming to Atlanta. The guy's, he's 31 years old. He's in the same spot that Max Fried's going to be at next year. 31 years old and everything goes right, coming off the Cy Young Award. Marcus Stroman, the Braves, I've been saying this from day one, the Braves have no interest in Marcus Stroman. He's a head case. He's always been a cancer in the locker room. Now look, as guys age, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But he's going to command too much money. Jordan Montgomery's a big fish out there, but one of the rumors that I've been hearing about that is that Jordan Montgomery could be heading to the Boston Red Sox. And I've had a couple of Red Sox buddies that have hit me up about Vaughn Grissom. And the best thing that I can tell you about Vaughn Grissom, first of all, he's a great kid. That's number one. You're going to love him. He's going to become your new favorite toy on the Red Sox. Number two, an incredible bat. He is ready to hit at the big league level. There is no doubt about it. And he was a solid second baseman. Not outstanding, but he was a solid second baseman when he had a chance. Problem is, we got a log jam there. And he's not unseating Ozzie Albies, and he just could not play shortstop. But the Red Sox don't have that worry at all. They've got their shortstop. What is he, locked up for the next 4 years? So Vaughn Grissom's going to be asked to come in, take over the second base spot. You got 5 years of control with him left. And because he's coming in as an unknown into the Red Sox Nation, as they like to call it, he's got no pressure on him. Vaughn Grissom, you can start him down at the bottom of the order, but I think by the end of 2024, not 2025, 2024, Vaughn Grissom will be hitting towards the top of the Boston Red Sox lineup. And can you imagine that kid with his swing peppering the Green Monster? And remember, when he made his debut, he had a huge home run in Fenway. So he's proven that he can hit there. And it wouldn't shock me if that jumped out at the Red Sox brass when he hit that big home run. Other guys that are still out there real quick do want to hit up some of these guys. I mean, look, if I had my druthers, we take that money that we just saved and we go get Josh Hader. Josh Hader's still out there, an elite left-handed bullpen guy that, I mean, you talk about that bullpen would be lights out. But he's going to command quite a bit of money. And I think Josh Hader is looking for, if you remember last year, Diaz, who got hurt for the Mets, but he was unhittable. Diaz got, what was it, a 5-year, $100 million deal? I think it was 100 even. So you're talking about $20 million a year. I think Hader's going to be looking for that. I don't think he deserves it, but he's right there. To get Josh Hader, you're going to have to pay him somewhere between 15 to 19. He's 29 years old. He's probably looking for a 4-year deal minimum. And I have my doubts that the Braves are going to do that. A guy that's interesting to me is Rhys Hoskins, who can play outfield from the right-hand side, who can play first base from the right-hand side. He's coming off an injury. Does he reach a point in free agency where nobody's going to give him a long-term deal because he's coming off the injury? Will he sign a 1-year prove-it deal? That could be a big get for whoever it is. Would love to see Atlanta take a swing at that, because that could really, I mean, if you could have him coming in and playing outfield against lefties, along with giving Matt Olson some days off. But that's more pie in the sky type things. Other guys that are still out there, Jorge Soler, I would love to have him back. The problem is I think Jorge Soler is probably going to get big time money from Toronto or something. And it's not likely that he's going to end up. But the Braves still in theory, they still have a bench option. There's a guy like JD Martinez, but I don't think Martinez would sign with us because he's primarily a DH right now. And I don't think he wants to come in and play second fiddle to Marcell Ozuna. So unless there's a trade involved, I don't see it. So another interesting out there, but once again, he has been a clubhouse cancer basically his entire career. There's a reason why guys didn't go and defend him when he got in that fight last year. Tim Anderson's out there on the market. He had a terrible year, a former All-Star, 30 years old, but what's he expecting? Jordan Hicks is still out there. He's 27 years old. Be curious to see. And look, this is the time of year, the next 2 to 3 weeks, I would say we're going to start seeing hot and heavy signings all around Major League Baseball, because not a lot of teams want to go in to spring training and really not have an idea what their identity is. A couple other guys that are still out there in the free agent market, not necessarily pickups for the Braves, but you could possibly see a move or hear. Tommy Pham is still out there. Of course, he's had his issues as well. Michael Taylor, if you can get Michael Taylor at a reasonable rate, I love the idea of having Michael Taylor on the team because he's got speed. He's a right-handed bat. And until I see for myself how Jared Kelenic is going to hit against lefties, I think you need a backup plan out there. I believe Pilar is still out there. I don't see him on the list, but he'd be much farther down, which has got a lot to do with it. But if you missed it, by the way, Frankie Montas signed a 1-year, $16 million deal with the Reds. I found that interesting because Montas signed a prove-it deal for a team that, although they've got big-time aspirations for the playoffs, that is not an easy place to hit. And a couple other guys that are still out there, Ahmed Rosario, who can play infield. He is out there. He's a right-handed bat. Carlos Santana. I had someone inbox me about him. I don't see any fit for him for Atlanta. He's 37 years old, too. It hasn't really hit that well. He hit a little better on the second half of the season last year, but I'm not I wouldn't jump out there to grab him. There's a couple others that I skipped across. James Paxton. James Paxton's still out there. Aroldis Chapman is still out there. Now, Aroldis Chapman could be a poor man's version of Josh Hader. Ryu is still out there, but I think the Braves are probably done, unless they're going to move Elder in a trade. They're probably done as far as starting pitching goes. Now, if you could see them moving Elder in a trade, then it's much more reasonable to see them bring someone in. But probably if they were to move a Bryce Elder in some kind of a trade, they would probably be bringing somebody in. So I firmly believe the deal is dead. But let's just say, for argument's sake, they were going to go out there and get a Dylan Cease. A Bryce Elder would be a part of a trade like that. Urshela is still out there. He could be an interesting piece coming off the bench, but he's not really someone that anyone's going to jump up and down about. And I'll tell you one thing that I was, and I won't keep you all much longer, but one thing that I was impressed by and surprised by, the AL Central being fairly aggressive in the free agent market. I never would have thought that Kenta Maeda was leaving Minnesota to go to Detroit. I never would have thought that the Kansas City Royals would have went out and gotten Waka and Lugo. It was either the same day or it was back-to-back days. If you missed the deal earlier, and it's interesting that they got him on a bargain, Harrison Bader signed a 1-year deal, $10 million contract, $10.5 million contract with the New York Mets. And that, to me, was surprising because he's 29. He was rated as the 18th best free agent on the market. He signs a 1-year deal. That tells me that he had zero interest. See, we got some comments here. See what we got here. What time does Acuna say, okay, enough money for everyone else? I'm the MVP. Where's my... Ronald Acuna Jr. Is still locked under Braves control till the end of the decade. So he can think that all he wants, but if he's going to do that, he's going to have to bring the money down. So in other words, if he waits till the end of his deal, he might be looking for $35 million a year. Heck, by that time, who knows? But he's going to be in his early 30s at that point. If he wants something big-time contract right now, he would have to take a little less to be able to make a little more now. If that makes sense. See what else here. Brian, thank you for the kind words. And yeah, Brian. And as far as the Chris Sale thing goes, Brian says, enjoy listening. Keep up the work. Thank you so much. And then he adds, we really must like Sale, want to keep him around longer. Yeah. Look, he's 34 years old. He still has one of the highest strikeout rates in all of Major League Baseball. His only issue he has ever had has been staying on the field and staying healthy. I think him going into Atlanta, a fresh start, opens the door for possibly, I'm not going to say he's going to go out there and win the Cy Young this year, but a big bounce back year, because he's going to have so much less to have to do on a daily basis. Remember something, the past several years in Boston, Chris Sale was expected to be the best pitcher on the staff. Now, there were injuries, so his expectations dropped. But when he signed that big contract, the assumption was, you're the man. We're going to ride you. He goes into Atlanta. He does not have to worry about that. He knows that he's riding behind Spencer Strider, Max Fried, Charlie Morton, which everyone likes to put Charlie Morton down, but for $20 a year, you have to understand something. Charlie Morton is a bargain. Charlie Morton eats more innings. I saw a statistic recently where they were basically saying how many pitchers in the last 5 years, and I can't remember the exact stats, so I'm not going to butcher it, but basically said how many pitchers in the last 5 years have had X amount of innings pitched and X amount of strikeout rate. He was top 5. He was actually number 4. So Charlie Morton goes out there and he takes the ball. If you look at it with nothing else than this, what has Chris Sale been brought in to do? He has not been brought in to win one game in April or May or June. Chris Sale is going to be bubble wrapped to get his ass to October. So if you're thinking about Chris Sale on the level, maybe you're a fantasy baseball guy, maybe you're a guy or gal who is looking at making futures bets. I would not do that with Chris Sale, but I would bet the farm on the Braves because this team is more prepared right now in early January to win the World Series than they were back in September, October. And there's a couple of reasons. A, I think that Kalenich's going to end up being a hell of an ad. I think a lot of people sleep on him a little bit, and rightfully so. He hasn't done a whole lot in his career. B, Chris Sale has swing and miss stuff, which is huge in the postseason, along with Strider, along with Max, along with a healthy Charlie. And don't discount what the SSAJ could bring to us. And then the other big thing to me is that bullpen this year. Guys, I cannot wait to see what that bullpen does this year. Once again, we'll be bringing you pitch-by-pitch, play-by-play of all the games Monday through Saturday this year. We're going to bring you spring training games. Please like and subscribe. We're going to bring you a lot of the Sunday games. Just gets a little tricky with my work schedule. Y'all have a great day. I'm going to get out of your hair, and we'll see you next Thursday, y'all. Come spring training, we'll be doing this Mondays and Thursdays, assuming we're not doing a live game at that point. We'll see you.